Ciao and benvenuti to Untold Italy. I'm Josie.
And I'm Katie, and we're here to help you plan your trip to Italy.
Between us, we have many years of travel experience, and we want to help you uncover your own, as yet untold stories and adventures in Italy.
Each episode, you'll hear practical advice, tips and ideas to help you plan your own trips to the magical land of history, stunning landscapes, and a whole lot of pasta.
We'll have interviews from experts and focus on local destinations and frequently asked questions about travel in Italy.
Thanks for listening and make sure to subscribe to our show.
Now let's get started on your regular dose of Bella Italia.
Ciao everyone, I hope you're keeping well. Today I thought we would take a little escape to Rome. In this episode, I'm chatting with travel journalist and fellow podcaster, Erica Firpo. Erica lives right in the heart of Rome's Centro Storico near the Campo de' Fiori with her husband and 2 daughters and loves talking about her hometown and neighbourhood. A regular contributor to the Washington Post, BBC Travel and Forbes Travel Guide, Erica has her very own podcast and blog, Ciao Bella, where she uncovers stories about travel, culture, art and of course food in contemporary Italy. Today we've invited her on the show to share with us some lesser-known places to visit, shop and eat at in Rome, because once you've seen the city's highlights, you'll want to explore this most magnificent of cities, and some insider knowledge is always a good idea. So let's not wait another minute. I can't wait to get chatting with Erica Firpo. Welcome to our Untold Italy podcast, Erica. I've been so looking forward to chatting with you about Rome's secrets. I've given you a bit of an introduction in our episode preamble, but maybe you can let our readers know a little bit more about yourself in your own words.
Okay, thank you for having me. I'm very, very excited to talk to you. So a little intro about me. I am a journalist, a travel journalist. I live in Rome. I have an American accent because I grew up in the U.S. My mom's Italian from Rome. My dad's Italian American. So I'm always the Italian in the U.S. and the American in Italy. I've been living in Rome for about 15 years, but before that I used to work in Venice. And I grew up with a lot of love for Italy, and somehow I was able to translate that into writing about Italy and sharing all the amazing things that I see about Italy.
Oh, it's amazing. I think we have a lot in common, Erica. Actually, I was listening to your podcast episode before about the Venetian cicchetti, and I can tell you that I have a crazy love of baccalà too. So
I miss it. I really miss it right now.
Me too. Okay. But we're so happy to have you on the show to tell us about some of Rome's treasures. But before we uncover those secrets, I hope you don't mind, but I know our listeners are really interested to know how things are in Rome and Italy for you right now. Can you tell us how you're managing your days during the pandemic?
So, I'm in the center of Rome, and the center of Rome is very, very quiet. Nobody's really out. There is the occasional person walking to the pharmacy, or what I see from my window, or walking to the grocery store. The alimentaries are open, which is really nice because they're kind of the hub of community life in Rome. And so when my husband, who's the one who's been doing the grocery shopping, he'll go to our alimentary and just say hi, and he'll get an overview on what's going on. My days are, I have kids in school, so my days are making sure they're going to online classes. And I have a podcast, so I'm doing interviews with people from my podcast online. But most importantly, and I think a lot of people will say this, it's tough everywhere you are to be told, hey, the freedom of routine you don't have right now. And so I reinterpret that to say, okay, well, I'm going to make my own routine, and just try to make the best of the situation. By making sure I do laundry when I'm supposed to do laundry, I work out, our girls have a little workout routine. I think overall in Rome, at least, in Italy, we're cautious and we're waiting to be told, hey, we're always waiting for good news. And more recently, we've had better news. The numbers have gone down. I think a lot of people are looking forward to a time, hopefully our government announced that on May 3rd, potentially we'll have less restrictions. So we're just all kind of waiting for that. And I think for the most part, we're just trying to abide by the rules and do what we're supposed to do, which is stay inside and not run around like crazy. That's what I see in my part of Rome.
Oh, it sounds like you're making the most of a terrible situation. And I know many of us are looking forward for a little escape, and there's no better place to do that in Rome, even if it's virtually. What do you love about your hometown?
Well, I first of all, even I'm going to just make everybody a little jealous. It's been incredibly sunny in Rome, so it is beautiful. So even in the midst of a pandemic, Rome is gorgeous right now. The skies are blue, the trees finally have leaves, and the birds are singing, and it's great. And what I love most about Rome is I think it's like I'm a old neighborhood girl, and what that means is I love people. I love talking to people. I love bumping into people on the streets, and I love how in Rome you start to realize, you live in a neighborhood and you get to really know your neighborhood. And even though Rome can be considered pretty big, it's just a tiny little. It's like a little country within a country. It's so tiny and everybody knows each other. So eventually, no matter where you are, you'll bump into somebody you know, and that's just it's the personality of this city is that, you always know somebody, and it's that camaraderie or that bizarre, charming Roman community that happens.
Oh, it's so wonderful. We just talked earlier about that we stayed very close to where you live, and it is a really special part of Rome, that area with the market and the ruins just close by in the ghetto area. It's just, I really love that part, and I always choose to stay there. Is there another part of Rome that you think captures that same spirit?
Ooh, I mean, I'm so partial to my neighborhood. So we should tell everybody my neighborhood is right near the Campo dei Fiori market, and also right on the edge of the ghetto, which means you're right near, a first century BC arena. It's a theater. My husband would kill me that I just said it's an arena. And is there some other place that I think? I mean, I guess I like Trastevere because it captures that real neighborhood feel. The buildings are lower, everyone's close together, and everybody's in and out. But I think it's amazing. The Centro Storico. I mean, you're living in the midst of history. Like, you're in the mornings when I walk my little daughter to school, we have to pass by the Pantheon every single morning. There's nothing that beats that, to be like, okay, we wave at it, walk to school. I mean, I don't know where else in Rome that you could get that. I guess maybe if you lived by the Colosseum, but no, the Centro Storico, the Piazza Navona, the Campo dei Fiori, the Pantheon area is incredible for this.
Oh, it really is. I'm very jealous of that school walk. It's my favourite building in the entire world, the Pantheon. So lucky you. And I do love those ruins that are around the ghetto area. They're like what's that? Teatro Marcello. It's just
the Teatro Marcello and the Portico d'Ottavia. They're beautiful. I mean,
yeah, it's crazy, like that they just built that theatre into apartments.
Oh yeah, the top floor, exactly. It's kind of fun when you walk. So if I wanted to go to renew my identity card, for example, I have to go to the Anagrafe, which is the public records building. I guess that's how you'd say it in English. Mm-hmm. And I have my shortcut through the ghetto, through the archaeological site. And it's just kind of funny that you're walking literally, just to take a shortcut to get an identity card. And it is across from, it's across from a historic archaeological site. It's around the corner from the Forum. I mean, it's nuts. It is beautiful and incredible. You're walking by the Teatro di Marcello. It's incredible.
It really is. I think that's the history and the longevity is that feeling that you get when you're in Rome, and it's thanks to those ruins and the historic buildings. And I guess a lot of visitors just go to the Colosseum and the Roman Forum, but it really is all around you. And this is where I think if you spend a little time away from maybe a very structured itinerary, just looking at the main sites, you can really uncover just so much beauty in Rome and so much, have a really different experience. Do you have any other favourite places in the city that you can explore that type of history?
I have a ton, and you just, as you were saying this, you just reminded me of one thing that I'm gonna tell you a ton of favorite places, but you just reminded me one I wasn't even thinking about, which is there's a neighborhood in Rome called the Velabro. And it's right near the Bocca della Verità, which is the mouth of truth where people stick their hands and there's always that long line. And it's near the Arch of Janus and it's on the edge of the Forum. And it's one of those neighborhoods that it's like a Bermuda Triangle in the sense that if you didn't know what you were looking for, you wouldn't find it. But if you found it, then you get lost in it. And it's really tiny, and it looks kind of like Rome from the 1700s. But you're right by this archaeological site. And so people tend, and it's got this historic church with, I think there's a Vasari painting inside, the only Vasari in Rome. I mean, it's got amazing, it's an amazing micro neighborhood that people completely overlook. Other things that I really love contemporary art. I love art in general. And I love the Galleria Nazionale, which is on the edge of Villa Borghese. So it's the National Gallery of Modern and Contemporary Art. And one of the reasons I love it is because it was built as this collection in the 1900s. So right after Italy became a country, they decided, okay, the capital's in Rome. How are we going to show off Italian culture? Because Italian culture didn't exist. So they started building this museum that would house all of what at the time was contemporary Italian art. So monumental sized paintings of the campaigns, the Garibaldi campaigns, and then pointillism? No, the macchiaioli. Sorry, not pointillism, but it's like pointillism, like Seurat, but the makers, and then the futurists. So it's this collection of art, primarily Italian art, that showcases the best of Italy from the 1800s or the mid 1800s forward, which is kind of crazy because it goes from like, you'll see like this epic battle painting from the 1850s. And then all of a sudden you'll see this weird kind of Janus Cornelis sculpture, which is from the 1990s. So it's a really cool museum. And in it, it's a really, for me, a really interesting way also to learn about Italian history or the history of Italy from the modern and contemporary history of Italy, because you're seeing it through the world of art and how, there's the arte povera, which speaks a lot about what was happening in Italy in the 50s and 60s. There's the futurism, which talks about this Italy that was like, hey, we think, in the 1910s, they thought they were on the verge of becoming this incredible technological society. And then they had this huge depression with the war. So it's a fabulous museum. I also love, and this, Katie, you'll definitely, I hope that you've been to, because you were talking about how great this neighborhood is to walk to Trastevere. In Trastevere, there are two museums. There's one, Villa Farnesina, which was a house for Agostino Chigi. He was in the 1500s, the financier of the Pope and the Medici Pope, I believe. And he decided that he was going to build this beautiful house in Trastevere, this little mini villa. And so he hired Raphael to do it. And he locked Raphael in there. And they're beautiful, beautiful paintings inside. And I think it was, the design of the villa is Peruzzi, which is like one of the few Peruzzi designs. So it's just got like the architectural history and the Renaissance painting history. And then down the street from there, in another piazza, so that's a freestanding villa, which is kind of cool. It's a freestanding villa in the middle of a kind of busy, congested neighborhood. Then there's a little piazza called Piazza San Egidio, and in the Piazza San Egidio, right around the corner from the famous church in Trastevere, is the Museo di Roma. And most people are like, whatever, it doesn't seem to ever have like fully eye-catching exhibits. People they tend to walk past it. It's a busy piazza. But if you go inside, there is this there are life-size dioramas of Rome in the 1800s. So it's nuts. I mean, it's you see people your size that are like the Carbonati, the guys that are bringing the carbon from into the city. I mean, you see the women. It's super duper cool if you want to catch Roman life.
I did not know that one. I knew Villa Farnesina, but I did not know Museo di Roma. I need to look that up.
It's awesome. Then, I mean, I'm a big fan of architecture, and I love Eor. It's about 13 kilometers outside the city center. It's still considered part of Rome. It's a neighborhood called Eor, and it was designed. Initially, the designs were for they were going to have a World's Fair in Rome in, I think, either 40 or 44, and 1940 or 1944. And so Mussolini got all the top architects. There were two kind of big two schools of architecture: rationalism and I think it's like neoclassicalism. And he said, listen, we're just going to redo this whole neighborhood. That wasn't really anything to begin with in the sense it didn't have a lot going on. So they planned a neighborhood. So which is just kind of crazy if you think Rome is completely unplanned. And then they planned this neighborhood and they brought in all these fabulous architects. And then the project stopped because of the war. They still built it, but a lot of the pieces were inspired by, like, there are obelisks. There's an obelisk in the center that's inspired by the Egyptian obelisk. There's something they call the Coliseo Quadrato, the rectangular Colosseum, that is inspired by the Colosseum but made to look rectangular. There's this whole colonnade that's inspired by the colonnade in St. Peter's Square, and it's very, very modern. It's completely the opposite of Rome, and it's really gorgeous because it's made of all white travertine. And then the other thing that's interesting about it is it has a lot of the bas reliefs. So a lot of the carvings in it are still left over from the fascist era. So there's this one place you can walk up to. So it's got the gorgeous lines. They also use a lot of marble. It's got all the best material. And then there's a few places you can go over and you can see like a bust head of Mussolini, and his campaigns in Africa. It's nuts. So it's a really bizarre and interesting place. And if you ever see, like, I think the James Bond with Javier Bardem, which might have been, I don't know, it took place there. And then the film Titus took place there, because it's just a weird, if it's a clear day and there aren't any cars, it is a weird neighborhood. It's gorgeous.
Oh, I'll have to go check that out. I haven't been there. I kind of get stuck in a rut sometimes in Rome, and that's why I really was excited to talk to you, because sometimes I just tend to go back to my same usual haunts.
Well, I think it's because you love the city so much. And I have to say, so my husband's an archaeologist. So we are constantly in this battle of, it's an unspoken battle. We see a lot of archaeology. So there are so many ancient sites that I love. But as many ancient sites that I love, I also have to see new stuff, or I have to see something different, because I can't see ancient all the time.
But that's the most amazing thing about Rome, though, isn't it? It is the ultimate living city. It's been there for 2,000 years, and it's just constantly evolving, and it's adding something new, which is amazing.
You're absolutely right. I mean, and I think the kind of cool thing about Rome is that it's been there forever, like you're saying, and there's so much stuff that even the old stuff is new stuff. There are so many times, I've been introduced by my husband, let's say, to something that he'll walk by and it's been there forever, and I know he's pointed out 1,000 times and I never noticed it, and I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome. Or just, like you take the same, you drive the same path every day, and then you see there's like a bust head and you don't realize it's a 2nd century tomb carving or something. You're like, this is insane.
I know. I don't think that's what is so fascinating for visitors like us from Australia or the United States, because a lot of our listeners are from the United States, actually. And it's just, when you come from a country that's fairly new in terms of its development in cities, it sort of blows your mind, really. It does mine anyway. It just freaks me out every day, every time I go there.
I'm happy to hear that. That makes me feel really good, and I'm fully in agreement, because I think every day I'm always like, whoa.
Yeah. So apart from like all those kind of like little sites, some people really just want those big amazing views, and I know everyone goes for these the views of they want the Colosseum in the day, the Colosseum at night, they want the Trevi Fountain and the views of St. Peter's. But do you have some special views of Rome that maybe people don't really know of, that can give them that hero shot that they want to take home?
Ooh, okay. So I have a few of my favorite views, because I'm a big fan of, but I'm a big fan of getting like, I'm a big fan of perspective, apparently. So one of the coolest things that I could do every day of my life is in the center of Rome, there is something called the Altare della Patria. It's the wedding cake monument, that big white monument. And it has, if you look at it, it has 2 huge quadriga chariots on top. If you go there and you go around the back, there's an elevator that takes you up to the terrace. And so you have this epic view of Rome. And it's better than, I know Francis is going to be upset with me, but it's better than the view from the dome at St. Peter's, because from one direction, you have all of the contemporary city. So you're looking up Via del Corso, and you can see the Dome of St. Peter's, and you can see the Quirinale Palace, and it is spectacular. So you see all the domes. And then you turn the opposite way, and you're looking into the Forum, all the way to the Colosseum. And it is spectacular. And then when I want like a personal, like my personal favorite view, I love the Pantheon, like you were saying. I really, really love that building. And there's this hotel. There are 3 hotels in Rome that you can go on the rooftops. And I think only two, of the 3, 2 you can actually, anybody can go and get drinks up top. So I think the first one is only open to guests. But if you go to the other 2, which I can tell you if you'd like.
Yes, please.
So one is the Hotel Minerva, and the other one is called the Pantheon Hotel. I think a Marriott or Marriott partner. And if you go to the rooftops, you're peeking, you're at eye level with the top of the dome, which means you get to see the steps that they that they walk up on. So on the top of the dome of the Pantheon are 4 little staircases that you can't see from below, but at that level you can see. And so here's like a really cool thing. On Pentecost Sunday, which I think is like the sixth Sunday after Easter or the 7th Sunday after Easter, there's a huge celebration at the Pantheon where if you're in the Pantheon on that day, red rose petals fall from the ceiling. Well, the guys actually climb up those steps. So it's kind of cool to actually see those guys climbing up the steps and shoving the rose petals down.
Wow. And you can get cocktails there. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, yes. You can get cocktails at both.
That sounds amazing. That sounds exactly like the type of experience that I would be signing up for. Absolutely. Oh, I love those.
When you come back here, we can do it together.
I'd love that. I would absolutely love that. Oh, amazing. I love the Aventine Keyhole. I think that's one of my favourites. Orangery Garden, just down from there, that's a pretty good view too. But that's pretty well known.
Oh, that's a beautiful view. The Giardino delle Arance, yeah.
Yes, that was amazing. And at that point, that was when my phone died and I didn't have my camera with me, and I was a bit upset about that. But I did manage to get a couple of shots in before that happened. But yeah, it's a beautiful view from there.
The beauty is that the thing about Rome that I love is Rome is always the same. I mean, it is, and so it'll always be here.
Yeah. And that's very comforting at this time, I have to say. Thank goodness for that. And it has been, and I guess I have told, some of our listeners and people that are in our Facebook group that too. So it's like, it's so disappointing what's happening at the moment. But yeah, Rome's been there for a lot longer than we have, so it's not going anywhere.
Not at all. Not at all.
So I know we both share a big passion for food, and especially locally sourced seasonal dishes. I really love, when you get those local dishes that are really special. And I have some favourite places I like to eat at in Rome, and I've told you that I've got a small obsession with Roscioli. But do you have any other favourite restaurants that offer maybe a more contemporary Italian menu?
Oh, I have a bunch, and I feel like I'm curious because I know you love this neighborhood a lot, and I don't stray far from my neighborhood, but I mean, I do have some places that I will go outside of my neighborhood for certain things. So, like when you were talking about contemporary, I love Retro Bottega, which is it's kind of closer to the Pantheon-ish, like Pantheon Piazza Navona, a little bit north of here. And it's these two chefs that were, Michelin trained and all of that. And then their restaurant, has that kind of vibe to some degree in the sense that it's very creative. It's not fully traditional, but everything is based on tradition. They do a lot of foraging. They actually have this restaurant called Retro Bottega. So the dishes are it's not creative in the sense that you don't know what you're eating. It's just creative in the sense that how they're piecing everything together. And then they opened up next to it Retro Pasta, which is their pasta lab. So they make all this fresh pasta, and you can actually go for lunch and eat 50 grams of pasta for like €4 or something, but incredible fresh pasta. And they're doing pastas, not just simply the fettuccine and the tortellini. They're doing pleens, like things that you really don't see a lot. And they're most of the time they're stuffed pastas or pasta ripieni. And in them, like you might find something made with leek or just things that you wouldn't necessarily think about putting together. And then they also have a wine bar, which is really cool.
Sounds like my kind of place. Definitely. Yeah. I love it.
And then I'm also, but I am like an old Roman stomach girl. Like I love, by Campo dei Fiori, there's Osteria Farnese, which is like an old school osteria that's probably been there since the 1800s. And they do the traditional saltimbocca alla romana, the puntarelle, the trippa. Like it's there's nothing fancy. It's just a great place to get the Roman dishes that you like.
I think I've actually eaten there. Yeah, yummy.
You probably have. It's really tiny. It's great. I love also. I don't know if you had a chance to eat here when you were here in November, but there's another restaurant. It's a little bit newer. It's called Lorenzo. Oh, sorry, not Lorenzo. I don't know why I just said that. It's called Luciano Cucina. And Luciano Monasilio is he became really famous. He was like, well, I think one of the youngest guys in Rome or Italy to get a Michelin star. He worked at this great restaurant called Pipero. But the thing is, his dishes were completely Roman. Like there was, you get like broccoli and salsicce, or he actually became known for his carbonara, and he's considered the king of carbonara. And that might have been, I like to think it's because of me, because I have interviewed him a few times. And he's actually like, I think he's the first person I interviewed for my podcast. And he makes, like, the first time I ever ate his carbonara, I stopped eating carbonara anywhere else. I was like, I will not do it, because his was so good. And so he opened what I call like the new version of the trattoria. It's very stylish. It's very cool. And he has obviously the carbonara and some, he's from Rome as well. Some traditional Roman dishes, or like his version of Roman dishes. But then he's got a whole bunch of other great dishes that are, it's just like cool, contemporary, and great food.
Oh, that sounds exactly the type of place that I need to be going to. I've actually got a thing for alla Grisha. That's my one.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I just love that, that guanciale, really.
I do. I know. I like when I was saying about with Luciano, the first time that I ate his carbonara, and I took a bite of the guanciale, and I've never been a philosopher, and I really philosophized on that. I was like, how did he do it? Like, I started dreaming about it, like as I was eating it, like, did he bake it and then put it on the grill? Or, I mean, it was weird. I was obsessed. So I totally get that. I like Grisha too.
Oh.
I'm a carbonara freak. So.
Oh, well, maybe I can be converted. Who knows?
Well, I'll take you to Luciano, because honestly, it is literally the best.
Oh, well, we've definitely got a trip happening here, Erica. I can see it. And would you take me shopping? Because some of the favorite things that I like to bring home, I love, souvenirs. To me, if you get something really special that you can look at and touch and smell and feel, and it's sort of, that's what really brings it home. But I'm not really a magnets person or a postcards person. I really like stationery and beautifully made paper goods. Do you have any tips on where we can go to find such unique gifts in Rome?
Well, I know. I love stationery as well. And Rome does have a beautiful Pineder store, but Pineder is from Florence. So I feel like that's not quite fair, but they do have this gorgeous, Pineder is incredible for stationery. And then Rome there's actually, I don't know if you remember what's it called? It's, I love it. It's on when you're walking towards the Pantheon, there's one on the right and one on the left. It's the paper store that has like leather books, and it has a name, and it just slipped my head.
I know what you're talking about.
It's called Pantheon. Let me just look this up, because now I'm going to go insane. I want to call it Pantheon Stationery, but that's exactly not what it's called. But it's called Cartoria Pantheon. So yes, it's a beautiful store that has handmade books, like Fabriano paper, almost like that handmade paper, and then leather bound and hand stitched. And then it has beautiful cards that, I think you can also probably get them personalized, but it also has beautiful printed cards that of all those kind of marbleized papers and different quality papers. So that's lovely. And I love going to that store. I have a little penchant for kitsch. And I do think that, you are in the capital of Christianity, so, or Catholicism. So there is a store, if you have a friend in the priestly nature, or who appreciates the priestly nature. Gamarelli is this beautiful store by the Pantheon where they sell all the papal socks, and socks for cardinals and socks for monsignors. So you can go in, and they're handmade. They're crazy because they're also as long as your leg. So let's see you. So cardinals and popes they can wear socks that reach their thigh. They're like thigh highs. And they're hand stitched, made of red, like a cotton silk blend.
Wow.
And it's one of my favorite, and they also have other things, like there are other gifts, and technically you're supposed to give them to a priest.
Yeah, why not?
but I think if you're kitsch like me, and then, one of the things I think, I was talking about this with my husband, because I said, what kind of gifts do we give from Rome? And he was like, you know what, you should tell people, he and I, there are two coffee shops, like you love Roscioli. Roscioli doesn't have its own torrefazione. Roscioli uses, and I love Roscioli, by the way. I go there usually every morning for coffee. They use, I think, Cafe Jamaica, but in Rome we have torrefazione, which are the coffee brands that are from this neighborhood, from this area. So most people love bringing stuff back from San Eustachio or Tazza d'Oro, which are two of the most famous. But then my husband reminded me, he said, in Rome there are local torrefazione. So in almost every neighborhood at least, you can usually find, it'll be like, it looks like a dry goods store, but it's all for coffee, where they're grinding and roasting they're roasting and grinding their own coffee, and they make their own blends. And that's, I think, a very fun gift to give from Rome.
Absolutely. I would love that. My mother-in-law is, she's from Naples originally, actually, and she has her own blend, and it's a secret.
Really?
Yep. She's like, I'm not telling you.
I would like to try I would like to have, that would be a nice gift to give to me. That's pretty cool. Oh, I kind of now want to do that. I want to make my own blend. And I guess, you know what? I mean, technically, you could go to the torrefazione and customize your own blend. I never thought of that. That is awesome.
Yeah, they might not be able to cope with that, though, because it's not the way it's been done for thousands of years. I wouldn't like to rock the boat by suggesting seriously. They may not like it.
True, I think it's like you have to be an old school. Like you have to. They have to know you.
Just I want that one, the most popular one.
Exactly.
Well, I always like to bring food back from Italy as well, except that in Australia we have some pretty strict quarantine laws which don't allow sausages, but we can bring cheese, hard cheeses, and I just bought a whole lot of chocolate last time.
I was going to say, one of the gifts I love bringing back, have you ever been in Rome to Mariondo e Gariglio? It's the chocolate store near the Pantheon.
Oh, not yet. I will.
Okay, it's beautiful. So it's a Piemontese family that came to Rome when Rome became the capital. So we're talking the late 1800s, and they were the family that was allowed by the Savoyans to come to Rome and create chocolate for the King of Italy. So it's this old school chocolate boutique. And the women in there, they're dressed in like red. They have red bonnets and red aprons, and because it's run by women, except for the guy at the counter, the guy at the cashier guy. He's the kind of patriarch, and they have like for Easter, usually we get our chocolate eggs there. They do. I mean, we don't just get chocolate eggs, because you can get your sugar lamb. You can get all the confections of fish you want, like, because Easter is a big deal, and so you don't. It's not just about these little bunnies and eggs. Like, you got to get the lambs, the fish, the gallo. There's like a whole range of animals that I eat that are completely made of sugar and chocolate. And then they have they're the ones that they still do a lot of the traditional candies that are disappearing. So there's I don't know if you've ever heard of lacrime d'amore.
Oh, no.
The tears of love. So tears of love are these little drops of sugar that the minute you put, so they're different flavored. They're like flavored, almost like floral flavors. And so if you put one on your tongue, it melts immediately. Wow. They're beautiful. They're like really tiny little balls. And then they also are the only place in Rome I've ever found the sugared violets. That's an old tradition. So I always tell people and the packaging, like the boxes, they have beautiful boxes. So Mariondo e Gariglio, I always say to people, like, if you want something that just screams love and is delicious, that's where I would tell people to go.
Oh, well, I'll be there next time. Sounds amazing. I love these secrets that you've shared with us. But I guess you have divulged a lot of secrets, Erica. So I think that before we wrap up, can you tell us the one place, apart from obviously visiting family and friends, that you will go to as soon as the lockdown is lifted? Is there a site in Rome that you really miss seeing and you just need to go there as soon as this is over?
That's Such a good question. For some reason, I want to go see Altare della Pace, the altar of peace. It's the one that's now, it's first century BC, early first century, or no, late first century, because I guess it's like, I think it was done in 10 BC. I don't want my husband to hear me. And it's by Augustus Caesar, and it's now in a building designed by Richard Myers. So it's like this contemporary white travertine box, and inside is this really beautifully detailed temple. And I think I would like to go right back there.
Yeah. People won't be able to have a party, I don't think. So I think it's going to be one of those times where you just need to go and have a moment to yourself. And I can't wait to do that myself as well. So, Erica, I have really, really loved chatting to you today. It feels like I've known you for a very long time.
I was thinking the same thing.
How can, I know our listeners would love to learn a bit more about your work and stay in touch with what you're doing. Do you have any projects coming up and in any way we can reach you online?
Yeah, definitely. So you can, let's see, the projects, I always have projects, but my ongoing project is my podcast, which is called Ciao Bella, that you can find on iTunes and Spotify and on my website. And my website is conveniently named Ciao Bella, ciaobella.co, not com, ciaobella.co. And on there also, I do a bit of, I post, I do a lot of writing about Italy. I also share, because I write for the Washington Post and I write for other publications. And so I share what I do for the other publications on there as well. I love for people to reach out on Instagram. So you can find me on Instagram at my name, Erica, Erica Firpo, Erica Firpo. And I feel like I'm one of the first Twitter users. So if you use Twitter, you can find me under my nom de plume. So being that I was one of the first Twitter users means my name was I was anonymous. So at the time you could find me not under my name, which just so you guys know, my dad follows my name and he keeps asking me why I never respond, because there's somebody with the name Erica Firpo on Twitter and it's not me. But my name on Twitter is Moscerina, which is Moscerina, and that means little fly. And it has obviously my name on it as well, but you can follow me at Moscerina, and that will share all the projects that I'm doing. And just, also what's like, I like to share what's going on in Italy.
Oh, can't wait to get onto those, because I need to get back onto Twitter for, I don't know why. I've been off it for a while, and Instagram for it actually, but I'll get back on them.
Oh, well, no, now you have to connect with me on Instagram, because I love, because one, I just want you to say hi and we can keep chatting. And then you'll find all my little secrets that apparently my family always tells me I'm the worst secret keeper. So. Oh,
that's amazing. Grazie mille, Erica, for your just beautiful, wonderful insights into Rome. And I know I speak for all of our listeners when I say we all hope that we're going to be there enjoying some carbonara and the Rome's ancient streets, and just seeing everyone happily living their lives there very soon.
Well, you will be. Trust me. I know that we're all going to see each other soon. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Well, I had a wonderful time chatting with Erica, and I hope you enjoyed it too. We've put all her contact information and details of the amazing places she mentioned in our show notes at untolditaly.com/17. That's episode 17. If you enjoyed this episode, it would be great if you could give us a rating or review. And don't forget to subscribe to be notified for upcoming episodes. In the coming weeks, Josie and I want to share our top 10 places and experiences, and also what's on our Italy wish list. So until then, stay safe and well. Ciao for now.